Well, outside Nigeria, President of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, is in custody at a New York detention center after he was captured during U.S. strikes on Venezuela yesterday. There have been growing concerns over the legality of the United States capture of President Maduro as protests continue for and against President Trump's action. Explosions were reported across the capital, Caracas, in the early hours of yesterday, including at the military base. We have more in this report.
The plane carrying President Maduro and his wife landed at New York Stewart Air National Guard Base last night. The president was earlier taken to the office of the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration in New York and indicted on drugs and weapon charges before being taken to the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. President Maduro and his wife are to be arraigned at an unspecified date before a judge in New York. Venezuela's High Court has now named the vice president as interim president to guarantee administrative continuity and comprehensive defense of the nation. President Donald Trump yesterday announced that the United States will run Venezuela, quote, until a time for a safe, proper, and judicious transition, end quote. President Trump insists the U.S. is ready to stage a second and much larger attack on the country if needed.
Very importantly, the embargo on all Venezuelan oil remains in full effect. The American Armada remains poised in position, and the United States retains all military options until United States demands have been fully met and fully satisfied.
In reaction to these latest developments, Venezuela's vice president is insisting Nicolas Maduro is the country's only president. She says the government is ready to defend Venezuela after President Trump said the U.S. will run the country. Venezuela yesterday declared a national emergency, denouncing what it calls U.S. military aggression.
Presidente Nicolás Maduro y de su esposa Cilia Flores.
Supporters of the Maduro government are holding a rally in the capital, Caracas. They are demanding that the U.S. release the Venezuelan leader. There are also protests supporting the United States action in Venezuela, as many gather in celebratory mood. Opponents of the government are, however, expressing their hope that the capture will lead to a change of government. Before this escalation, there had been 35 known strikes against alleged drug smuggling boats in South American waters since early September that killed at least 115 persons. According to reports, since 2013, close to 8 million Venezuelans are estimated to have fled economic collapse and political repression, most settling elsewhere in Latin America. This dramatic escalation capped months of mounting pressure on Venezuela's President Maduro, a campaign President Trump says is aimed at drugs, migration, and national security.